All right, welcome everyone to another Mountain Man Monday live stream. This is episode 24. Today is April 20th, 2020. I hope everybody watching this has had a great start to their week. Have a little bit of fun to get the week kicked off on Monday as typical. And we'll let folks roll in here and see what's happening inside and outside the mountains. In the mountains, everything is going quite well. It's beautiful. It's spring. The mountains are looking good. I wish I could be out in the mountains a little bit more, but I'm thankful for all my blessings. And, I do what I can with what I have. And it's still nice to go on walks and explore a little bit and reminisce about the things I did in the past and want to do in the future. So let's see who has come in here today. We have, oh, yay. Got my buddy, Jason. Jason, what's up? You are first tonight. How you doing? Hey, guess what? I got one of my Top Gun shirts on. I had my other Top Gun shirt. Jason got me a real Top Gun shirt from San Diego. And I do not remember the name of I think it was from an aircraft carrier, right? Or a museum. I mean, that's where Top Gun used to be, was out in Miramar. And so I have another, this is actually not the authentic t-shirt. So Jason got me one that's the real t-shirt. Marvin Carlton, good to see you. Oh, we got, whoops, it's scrolling pretty fast. Don't want to miss anybody here. We got Blondie's Adventures. Hello to you. Hope you're having a great start to your week, and it's always nice having you here. We got Ronald Golden. Hola. This quarantine is getting stuffy. Yeah, for sure. I think cabin fever is in full effect. We've got Lily. Hello from Newfoundland, right? Is it Newfoundland? I'm sorry, I said that wrong. Newfoundland, right? If I'm butchering it, just make fun of me. I'm all for it. But it is so great to have you, and you live in a beautiful neck of the woods. So hope everything's going well up northeast. Yes, it is a nice shirt. It's one of my favorite. Top Gun is my favorite movie of all time. And they finally, after, let's see, 1986, well, it was 20, almost 25 years, 35 years, excuse me. Nice. Yeah, anyway, it's coming out. It was supposed to come out this June. It's now been pushed to December. And it's going to be awesome looking. And they took a while to make it because they wanted everything to be right. But because of what's happening, they definitely want to release in the theater. So we'll just have to wait and in excitement and see it. I don't know if any of you guys like that movie. I love to put on surround sound. I've always tried to have a nice surround sound setup, and I'll put Top Gun on. I like it. Let's see, Chad Loveless. Good evening. Triple M at work. We figured I'd stop in and say hello. Saw you pop up on break. Have a good night. Thank you, Chad. Hope work's going okay. I hope you're having an okay start to your week. Jason answered the question. It was SS Midway where the other Top Gun shirt came from. Thanks again for that shirt. That was really awesome. And I'm envious because I would like to get out there sometime and check it out. Check out some of the sites out there as well. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. A couple other people rolled in here. We got Roxy, Foxy, loves music now. Sup, peoples? How you doing? Sup with you? Hope you're doing okay. We got a lot of Foxies. We got Foxy Wolf. We got Roxy Foxy, Triple M, Blondie Lily. Glad to have you here today, and hope it's going well. We got a bunch of lows in here to different folks. Yeah, that's right. Newfoundland. Say it fast and all together. Newfoundland. Yeah, Newfoundland. So now I'm educated. And watch me mess it up next week, and forgive me ahead of time for it. Here in North Carolina, North Kakalaki, we say it all different kinds of ways. So anyway, I hope you're having a great start to your week. Let's see what else we got going on here. Blondie is always so awesome. Christina is saying, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. And I never want to glaze over those. And I always make a point every week to say thank you to folks that do support it. And ultimately, the goal here is not, I say this with all sincerity, not like the thumbs up or views or whatever. Mountain Man Monday is literally like social hour to get together and have a fun conversation, period. And I know most live streams are, so I'm not saying others aren't or this or that. I'm just saying all I can speak for is mine. So I really appreciate, so that's like going above and beyond anybody who supports like that. I just hope the main goal is you guys have a fun chat and a good time hanging out and just, you know, shooting the breeze a little bit. Like David Markley. I'm sorry, I don't want to put the L before the K, like Markley. I don't want to mess up your name. I hope you're doing well, Dave. David's another regular here, almost every live stream, and good to have you here as well. Check this out. We got Will and Dawn dropped in to say hi. We are here. Yeah, and I want to give, we are on the run. Excuse me. I want to give a shout out to Will and Dawn. I was in their live stream last night, and they have their new studio set up. It looks fantastic. They got all their collectibles and gifts and memorabilia from the Great Smoky Mountains, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, and surrounding area and travels in a nice collection as a backdrop to be able to, you know, live stream and make videos. It looks fantastic, Will and Dawn. Congratulations, really nice job. And I know, as you said, it'll be an evolution as new things come in. Well deserved. The community loves you guys, and I thought it was really awesome. So great job putting that together. Really cool. Oh, and another thing, I don't know if I've got your ear. I almost sent you a message, Will. I just know you've been busy. Congratulations on your live streams having they skyrocketed. The one last week where you guys started off at the park and then went downtown Gatlinburg, it went up to like 800 or 1,000. And then it's been upwards of that. And so I know your channel was setting new records. I almost said we, because I feel like part of the community, but you all set a record. It was like 500 was a big deal earlier this year. Now 800 and 1,000. So anyway, congratulations. Really nice job. Again, well-deserved. I hope you guys are having a great day over there in East Tennessee, and always nice to have you here as well. Let's see. Have you had the Mustang out? Says Ronald Golden. That's a negatory. The Mustang would be out because it's a daily driver. The problem is that I've been so busy, like I barely sat down this weekend. What happened was late last week, I noticed that one of our exterior doors on the house, which is a newer one that was replaced within the last 2 years, it gets the elements really hard, like wind, rain, and it doesn't have a storm door. It's a fiberglass exterior door. And I had painted it, and it was really solid like a couple years ago. But over time, within about 18 months, the paint had started to erode that quickly, even though it was a prime door from the factory. And I was really, really disappointed because I was expecting 5 or 10 years out of that paint, and I got about 18 months. It was cracking. There was some erosion. So I had to do an about face, and starting Saturday morning, and pretty much a whole day, I had to sand the door down with a power sander, hand sand it. I had to fill it with wood filler, caulk it, and prep it. Then I had to paint. I primed it with a really good primer, let that dry, and then I painted it. What had happened too was there was a problem where water was leaking through the door handle, which was also new, a very unusual spot. And so I had seen that in those bad storms we had a week ago, and it was running down the door, actually through the floor into the ceiling on the bottom. It was a mess. I had to stop everything and spend the whole day doing that. And to that end, the Mustang repairs keep getting put off. So I got back to the Mustang on Sunday. I finally fixed the knuckle cross-axis joints. They're bushings basically in the back. When I was reassembling the brakes, they were all worn out. And I had never done it before, and I went online to a forum, and I found where people were encouraging me, it's not that hard to do, and I was a little intimidated, and I got into the project, and I did it, and it came with a tool, and I pressed them out of the knuckle, and I pressed them in. But then I noticed that one of the lugs on the hub by the previous car owner was not the right length. It was too short. I had never noticed that. So I banged it out, and I went to the store, and I got another one. It was like $2. But now I don't have a nut to tighten it, to pull it back into the hub. So I'm stopped again. And last week I didn't have the right snap ring pliers to take off this, it's like a 2 holes in it for snap rings. So it's a snap ring on the end of the bushing. So if all this stuff sounds confusing, it's like every time I get so far in the project, I either be missing a tool or a part and have to order it and wait on it. And I have a bunch of tools already from over the years. So the Mustang is still up on the blocks, or not the blocks, the jack stands. I really need to get it done because I have some other painting and some housework that I need to get to. So long-winded answer to yours, but I've been wanting to talk about that project because I was busy all weekend with the painting and then the car, and I need to get the car done, and it's just been jam-packed. So I want to get it out, and I still have to, as soon as I finish the brakes and I put new stainless steel brake lines on it, and it's got cross-drilled rotors. The real reason I started all this mess is because the alternator died. So I have the alternator, which will only take about an hour or two to replace. That's the very last step. So yeah, I'm moving. I'm trying. Beautiful day. It is beautiful day. Foxy says, hey, cut your hair and numbers go up. Right, Yitz? Yeah. You can tell my hair is getting puffy, but it doesn't look horrible yet. It's getting kind of long. I mean, last week I pulled it. It's like down to here if I pulled it down. But yes, but I'm not going to shave it. I used to do that years ago. But you do notice I got my beard coming back in. So for those of you that missed last week's live stream, I had clean shaven the first time in, geez, it's over 5 years, 7 years. It's been a while. And the last time I did it, it just same thing. I did it for one day and then immediately let it grow back. Felt weird. Kids were freaking out. They didn't like it. Grow it back. How fast will it grow back? So it wasn't a big hit. I just did it because I hadn't done it in a while. Let me try to catch up. Stray cat. I had 6 kittens last night out on the porch. Cool, David. You know, stray cats are a mixed blessing. When I lived in apartments years ago, they're feral cats, right? That's what they're called, where they live all over the place. I didn't care for them that much. You know, they're all over the place and people feed them and they'd be hanging out at the dumpster and stuff. I don't know. Double standard because you can't have dogs roaming around like that. But, you know, if they get taken to the vet and people adopt them, I think that's fantastic. Chris said, listening while making dinner. What do you have for dinner, Chris? Filet mignon, asparagus, smoked salmon, rare cheese, souffle, I'm guessing, right? Lobster tail. What else? That's my guess is what you're having. Let's see. Hey, Sexy Matt. You had some cool videos on your channel recently. If people enjoy the saxophone, check out Sexy Matt. He's got a great YouTube channel. Always, everyone, feel free to promote your channel here. Because. Hey, look, I got close. Dinner is steak with broccoli, cheddar, noodles, and rolls. Well, I was close. I said filet mignon. I didn't say broccoli. I said asparagus. Cheddar noodles, I didn't know. I had smoked salmon, and I picked dessert. I said souffle. That's pretty awesome. Actually, I was at the grocery yesterday. I've been craving some steak. We've been eating. We have a lot of pork, fish, and chicken, but I haven't had any steak in a while. Now you're making me hungry. Sounds yummy, Chris. Did you vlog Mindy cooking? Yeah, I thought, is Chris making dinner or is Mindy? Maybe they both are. Chris about bringing me dinner up here in Indiana. Yeah, right? You could put it on dry ice and send us some steaks. Lily, I'm cooking it right now. Just got started. See, I'm on the same wavelength as Chris. I can read his mind before I read these comments here. Like your shirt, Mr. Mountain. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Top Gun. One of my favorite shirts, my favorite movie of all time. And I was talking about my buddy Jason here got me another Top Gun shirt that was an authentic one from the SS. Blah, blah, blah. I already forgot the name, man. I'm terrible. Let me scroll up. Not the SS Minnow. The SS Midway, like World War II. Battle of Midway, right? Man, I'm going to get made fun of for my history knowledge. I'll make sure to brush up before I get going on my next live stream. Delivery available. Shave it. Do it. Yeah, so I've said it before. I used to do one blade side and back. For any of you who have clippers or go to the barber, I used to pay for years to go to the, I mean, they must have loved me. I'd come in. The only thing that took them any time was I always went to a real barbershop so you could get like a straight shave on the neck with a razor. Like where if you go to like Great Clips, they use the clippers because they're not allowed to use the razor. And so that was the only thing that took any time, but they made great money off of me because they just, you know, this piece of cake. But these days, it's weird because the barbershop is an interesting place. So the barbers that I go to, you can't make an appointment. And I actually have quite a bit of hair compared to a lot of the people, the men that go into barbershops. But, you know, I mean, I don't know how to explain it, but some of these guys are super particular about the 9 hairs they have on top of their head, and they'll wait like an hour and a half for like the main barber. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, just go with the next available barber. You know, your hair is not that complicated. It's just crazy. You know, you kind of think of, you know, men being like kind of gruff and tough and all this, but you go to the barber shop and you get the, you know, I don't want my hair to get messed up. And I actually have quite a bit of hair for a barber. And my philosophy has always been it'll grow back. So if I get a barber that doesn't do well, you know, it'll grow back. And it's true, there are barbers that do a better job than others, but I don't know. This time of my life, I don't have a luxury to sit at the barber shop for 2.5 hours. In fact, if I walk in, there's like 5 people and 2 barbers, and you do the math in your head, I'm out of there. I don't have time to wait for it. So I guess that is one advantage. I have a couple of times gone to like those Great Clips or chains. In fact, I think the last time I got a haircut, I got to admit the technology there, like they have an app, you can check in, you basically walk in, you go straight to, you know, a barber or a hairstylist, I guess is, you know, at those places. So you don't get a straight shave and that kind of stuff. They do a good job and it's actually cheaper. But I prefer the barbershop. It just, now you can't go anywhere because of what's happening with the quarantine and all that stuff. So yeah, it's getting a little raggedy. I need to get my neck cleaned up. I don't know about the sides. It's feeling a little hot right now. Yeah, Chris about T-bone steaks. Yes, Mr. Mountain, you should let me cut your hair. No. No. I take like for like $1,000 maybe, and then I'll give it to charity. But no, I don't. No, I like my hair. I already spooked my family once shaving off my beard, so we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Probably not that fancy, Ronald Golden. Not that fancy, Mr. Mountain Man. I don't have any Mountain Man money. I don't have any Mountain Man money either. I have only cooked filet. I don't cook filet at home. Like that's a treat for like a birthday. Go to a steakhouse or something. My favorite cut of steak is porterhouse because you get a filet and a New York strip on the same steak. And if it's good, I have been to some steakhouses where they'll have a porterhouse on the menu and it's kind of bland. But I've been to a few places that have a porterhouse and it is amazing. I mean, that is like you're getting your money's worth. It tastes really, really good. That's one of the things, like, I don't know how buffets are going to fare with the virus and everything that's changing and even my philosophy on it. But we did enjoy as a family Golden Corral. We went there almost weekly. And the steaks to me at Golden Corral are completely overrated because the cut that they do are actually not that good. They're kind of chewy and fatty. The side carving station that would have like the prime rib or some other stuff was always kind of the hidden gem, or the ribs, or, you know, some of that kind of meat was always better than the main window with the steak. And it's kind of funny because they're so stingy with it. You know, it's like you go there and it's like I always joke with my wife, it's like the person back there giving out the steaks is like, it's like their steak. Like every piece you take, it's like they don't get to take it home because they'll give you like this little piece and you have to be like, oh, can I have another one? And then it's always like, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Like they're doing some big favor for you. No, I paid for that steak. Give me a big piece of steak. I want a big piece of steak, even though I don't care for that steak that much. We also used to go to Ryan's. There's one in Western North Carolina here. And it's a little more modest than Golden Corral, like a smaller buffet, but we enjoyed it and it's reasonably priced for the family. And they too would be pretty stingy with the steaks, but I find it hilarious. But I really love buffets. You know, the kids get what they want, and you can actually eat pretty well. Because, you know, speaking of vegetable and stuff, I'll go to these buffets and my first plate will be this huge mound of dry broccoli, like either dry cold or dry steamed, and I'll just put pepper on it. We're not talking about butter broccoli or anything. I mean, we're just talking broccoli. So I get all that fiber in. And yes, I'm not going to fool you. I will eat dessert and I'll eat junk too, but you can eat really well because there's such a big selection there that you can make good decisions and still eat a lot of food. Put on that muscle. Forgot the border is closed. Oh, so Lily can't come and eat all that fun stuff. Let's see. Let me try to catch up. What kind of rolls, Chris? Lily Flyover. Hey, Karen Story. Welcome. Blah, 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 blah. Glad to have you here tonight. It's always nice having Carrie mainstay in the community. And really nice to have you here. I hope you're having a great start to your week. Karen. Matt said I have the music to Take My Breath Away by Berlin. That is one of the more popular songs from Top Gun. It also, if you know that band from the 80s, was the song that kind of split up that band. I forget what the lady's name with the blonde hair. I used to know her name. She was really into that song because she was the main singer. But the other main guy from Berlin did not like that song. He didn't think it characterized them as a group, and it really was kind of it made them big, but it also hurt their band at the same time. If you wanted to know any backstory about the Top Gun soundtrack, Lily, would going to Chris's for dinner be classified as essential travel? Don't think so. Yeah, there's also I think it is actually, Lily. You should go down there. And there's another one called Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. Now, it's got Chris's name in it, steakhouse. So I'm thinking, yeah, that's another nice one. Oh, I skipped way to the bottom because somebody asked. Oh, I'm all over the place. Sorry. Food is essential. Oh, we got another. Hey, Roxy Foxy and the Dr. J Show. How many Foxies do we have? The two Foxies, three Foxies. We got Foxy Wolf, Roxy Foxy. We have another Foxy. Are they related to? It is going well, by the way. And it's good to see you again. There's another Foxy here. Roxy Foxy Loves Music. I'm assuming Roxy Foxy Loves Music and Roxy Foxy and the Dr. J Show are together. If you're not, coincidence. Or I should know, and you can inform me, and I apologize if I don't. Sister Schubert, Parker House Rolls, Ronald Golden. Okay, sounds good. Yummy rolls. You know what? I'm a simpleton when it comes to that. They're bad for you, but those Pillsbury Crescent rolls, you know, the ones you put in the oven, I always undercook them by like a minute or two because I like them really soft. Those things are awesome. I can put those away like donuts, and I shouldn't, and I don't want to, but they're good. Chris, you are the gourmet around here. Those are awesome. And Chris loves them. I still go to an old Italian barbershop. You have to make an appointment. Tony is 76 and still going. Yeah. You know, Saxy, you find a good barbershop and you can go forever until, you know, I went to one barbershop when I lived in Central Florida and the guy retired and sold it to somebody else. And then one of the people who worked there went and made their own barbershop. So, yeah, I mean, you can go for years and years and years. That's typically how people do. And the camaraderie and the conversation, you get to know the people. So it's a lot more personable than going to the chains and stuff like that. Tracy, hi, everyone. I hope you're having a great start to your week and hope you're doing well. It's good to have you here. Let's see, jumping down here, we got Pamela here. Hello, Mr. Mountain and everyone. Hello to you as well. Thank you, Saxy Matt. Smash the thumbs up button. As I mentioned before, as long as you guys are here having a good time, that is the primary goal, and I appreciate the additional pat on the back for that if you like it. A lot of people saying howdy, howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Hey, Rita. Rita watches both of my channels, both this one and the Eclectic Handyman. The Eclectic Handyman, I put another random video that's eclectic out there. I had changed the ballast in an old fluorescent light that we had. And because those things go bad after years and years, and they're really a pretty simple fix. And I don't know if Rita watched that video or not, but I've seen Rita comment on my other one. So that's over on Eclectic Candyman. I know Chris made a funny joke the other day. He said, hey, is Eclectic Candyman here, when I was in one of the other live streams. So yeah. Saxy says, can't go wrong with cheddar bacon biscuits. Yeah, I too. I'm telling you, I have a soft spot for soft, like cheese biscuits and stuff like that. I could eat them like they are dessert. Speaking of which, I did a workout today, right before this. About once a month, I have a workout where I really struggle. Like either my mind's not in the right place, motivation, tired, a combination of everything. I'm not really thrilled with working out at home. I typically go to Gold's Gym, and the atmosphere is just conducive to my enthusiasm for bodybuilding and fitness and things like that. It's a little different in a vacuum by yourself, even though I can, put on YouTube videos and stuff and music or whatnot. But today was one of those days, and it was just struggling. I was working out my legs, and the only thing that keeps me going is that quitting. The pain of quitting is worse than the pain of continuing through, because the easy way out for me is just to stop, but then I'll feel so guilty and miserable. So today was one of those days. It happens like once a month, and today was that day. I just couldn't get it going. Blame it on Monday, blame it on the long weekend, being exhausted, blame it on whatever. I did persevere, made it through. I was exhausted. I couldn't catch my breath. How, I know not everybody does, this fitness or that, but how's everybody staying at least active, going for walks or treadmills or remote control of the TV? I don't know, whatever. I've been doing stuff at home. And like I had mentioned in the previous live streams, I had to acquire some additional equipment, and boy, was it a premium. I paid a pretty penny for that stuff. That's why I was encouraging you all, if you have any weights left in the garage or old fitness equipment, sell it while the getting's good. Because when the economy starts opening back up, whenever that is, this stuff is going to drop back down to what it's worth. I mean, you get a pair. I mean, I didn't buy it, but I was looking at a pair of rusted 7.5-pound plates, 2 of them, okay? Steel plates, 1-inch hole. They're just like these little plates that you put on weight. Those things new, if Walmart has them or Amazon or your local fitness store, cost about $6 or $7 a plate. So you're talking about $14, $15 plus tax. On eBay, 2 plates like that will go for $50 plus $15 to $18 shipping. It's ridiculous. But, good for the people that are clearing out their old stuff. So anyway, it's been a chore, but yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to the real gym when that happens, seeing other people in the same hobby. Even if you're not into fitness, you can appreciate that. Just like people were like into the mountains and hiking and vacationing and doing all these fun things. Anytime you have, something of interest common with people, you share that same hobby, passion, activity, or whatever. So that's why I enjoy going to the physical gym. And it's also nice, to get out of the house a bit and do that too. But yeah, so working out was a pain today, like literally and figuratively, but I made it through, and I'm trying to stay healthy, both in mind and physically. I saw the handyman video. Cool, Saxy Matt. Yeah. It's weird because the Eclectic Handyman, I got a couple of nice comments. It's very niche that those videos are targeted for whoever Googles them or searches for them on YouTube. There's no continuity, so I'm surprised, but there are some people who don't care. They just kind of like almost like watching like HGTV or some other thing where there's a theme, even though if it's not always connected. Well, that's what I do. One time I'm working on the car, one time I'm placing a thermostat, one time I'm replacing a light bulb, one time, this, a toilet, and this and that. So people like it. One guy gave a nice comment, and it was kind of neat. I love Red Lobster's cheese biscuits. Marvin, so if you watch my what's it called? The Captain Benjamin Myrtle Beach Seafood Buffet video. At the very beginning, I tell everybody, stay away from the cheese biscuits because they don't want you eating the crab legs and all that stuff. That's true for a buffet. But at Red Lobster, what they do, because I've been there, and I actually really enjoy Red Lobster. I haven't been there in a while because of the cheese biscuits. It's one of the reasons. You got to fill up on the cheese biscuits because the portion sizes aren't that big. So they compensate with the expensive plate by giving you bread to fill up on, but it doesn't necessarily ruin your dinner because they're not giving you as large of a portion like you could go back at a buffet multiple times. So in Red Lobster's case, I do encourage eating the bread to get full. Well, I'm not encouraging overeat, but just saying it's a good thing that they've got the bread, because sometimes you're only getting, they count the number of shrimp. Whereas if you go to a buffet, you can scoop out 30 pieces of shrimp if you want to, but at Red Lobster, your dinner might be 12 pieces or something like that. Hey, Sexy said, I walked outside today. I cut the grass and fertilized. That's awesome. Yeah, I fertilized a few weeks back. Grass is coming up pretty nicely. I've gotten some gifts of some rain and then sun, so I haven't had to be watering. I put down some seed to help fill in some of the areas. And I enjoy having a nice yard. It's another hobby. Yeah. Rita said, you got to get your money's worth from those weights you bought. You know what? You're right. I mean, at least what I've done is I've built up, like, I've got a couple 100 pounds now. I've got a curl bar, a bench, and a weight rack and some other stuff. If needed, I mean, I hope nothing like this comes about again, but for whatever reason, if there's something impeding going to a gym or something, I have a backup. But I do plan on putting this stuff in storage once I'm done and out of the main way, because I just want to get back to going to the gym. Jason says, typical workouts during the week, doing walks. Now I need to cut back on snacking. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's normal. I mean, it's the time. I mean, stressful right now, the news, people working is busy, and, some people, financial and all this. And, it's sometimes food, is a part of all that. And, and I'm no perfect either. Last night, one of my daughter made like sugar cookies, and I started eating them, and it was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't stop. So I always justify it as putting on mass, for lifting, but that's not the kind of food I should be eating. But you can tell I have a balance, So you hear me, I talk about this weightlifting and how much I'm committed to it, but it's not like I'm on stage or competing or anything like that. So listen to me. I still go to Golden Corral and I eat dessert and I do this and that and talking about crescent rolls and all this stuff. So, I'm not, super purist on it. What I try to do is about 80% of the time, maybe 85% of the time, I try to eat well. And then the other 15% of the time, I'm just eating whatever. That's me. I don't know. Ronald has been walking and running. Only way to keep your sanity in this ever-changing times. That's right. And very good. If you can get out and walk or run, we have an old treadmill. We've had one for years. Got it at Sears like 10, 15 years ago. It still runs great. So we can either go outside and walk or get on the treadmill, especially if there's inclement weather or whatever. Chris said, I am trying to do better about working out. It is not going well. I'm trying to get myself inspired for sure. The one thing, words of encouragement is well, one, you can do it. Anybody can do it. And two, everybody's got an idea on how to do it and all this stuff. I think when I've been around people that are close to me that I want to encourage to get started working out, I literally will say, do 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes. I'm serious, like 5, not 20, not 30, not 45. That's the people who get burnt out fast. All right, this Monday, I'm going to start my workout routine. And they do 90 minutes. And by Tuesday, they remember what they did on Monday, and they're so sick of what they did on Monday that they get sick of it and they don't do it again. 5 minutes. Walk to the 2 driveways down and back. Or if you live in an apartment, walk to the car and back, or the mailbox 3 times. If you got a treadmill, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Day 2, 5 minutes. Day 3, 5 minutes. If you got to go 15 days like that, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And then eventually what's going to happen is after 5 minutes, you're going to say, I can do 5 minutes and 30 seconds or 6 minutes or 7 minutes. And it'll start to catch on. And then also what happens over time is as you begin to have a mental change, you see the benefits. I mean, everybody thinks about weight and stuff like that, but there's health benefits and mental benefits, and what gets released when you exercise, and the endorphins and working out and feeling good and all this stuff. So 5 minutes is what I say, just 5 minutes, even if it's not walking or cardio. Some people and there's 100 ways to do stuff, biking and running and walking and swimming back when you can do that. If you can get out somewhere, some people have a pool, weightlifting, or anything. Tennis, basketball, baseball, mowing the grass. Mowing the grass is fantastic work. So anyway, there's lots of ways. It's really, I always encourage folks, but you can start, start small. Get a pet llama so you can take it for walks. That's right. Just like the one video. If you make it to Illinois, Mr. Mountain Man, or anyone in the chat, you got to try Bob Chin's best seafood and Mai Tais. That's really cool to know, Sax Matt. I love good seafood. That's one thing about the mountains, that we are not, comfort food, Southern food. You got great stuff. You're thinking like places like, Asheville is an eclectic mix of, of culinary and foods from all over the place. Asheville has tremendous cuisine downtown. And then as you get outside of Asheville, you've got Southern cooking and home food and stuff. Very similar over there in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. You think about Old Mill and Mama's Farmhouse and things like that. And, your fried chicken and chicken fried steak and these kinds of food. But we're not known for seafood because it has to be flown in. That is one reason why I did like Myrtle Beach, because they are known for their seafood. So I'm not going over to Myrtle Beach to have fried chicken. I'm going to go over to Myrtle Beach to have crab legs and shrimp and fish and stuff. So, yes, Saxy, I like seafood, and always in the mood for a good seafood restaurant. There's a tremendous place here in Asheville I would love to review sometime. I have been there before. It's called the Grove Park Inn. They have the Blue Ridge, I think, artisanal buffet. It is a treat. It's like a birthday anniversary, Christmas dinner type thing. It's not cheap, but it is out of this world, like unlimited crab legs. It's kind of a little, I don't want to say dressier, because you will see some people there in shorts, but you kind of, it's a nice treat to go out and just absolutely delicious food. I would love to review that place. Yeah, so it's really cool. Yeah, great comment, Saxy Matt. Hey, reviewer, finally made it this time. Glad that you are here and hope you're having a great start to your week. I saw your comment last week on the live stream. It's always nice to have you here live and in person. Sexy Matt says, or a dog, Chris. Kind of hard to walk Stevie. Yeah, the Stevie's the bunny, right? Yeah, you can't walk the bunny, but you could chase the bunny. If you let the bunny out, yeah, it'd be a problem. Don't know what happened, but lost the feed for a while. Hopefully, did anybody else lose the feed? I don't want to say hopefully it was only you, David, but kind of hopefully it was only you. I hope it didn't cut out. Uh-oh. Is it cutting out, guys? Oh, I hope not. Man, I'm going around the house beforehand. I'm like, no streaming, none of this. I want all the bandwidth. So I'm hoping you're getting a good quality experience today. And as I always say, at least the audio. I'm telling you, if I could get a better internet package, I would. You got to do, we have a sign in the kitchen or somewhere. It says, do what you can with what you have, do what you can with what you have right now. So it's basically like whatever hands dealt you, deal the best you can with it. That's what I'm trying to do with the internet. Someday if I get, I don't want to say it's an aggressive goal. The only thing I've ever said, if I do happen to get someday to 1,000 subscribers and I could use cell reception, out somewhere, maybe I'll have a higher definition live stream. But for right now, hopefully everybody enjoys at least the conversation. And if I'm a little digitized looking, sorry. I can't tell because for me, it looks really clear, but it's just my own feedback. It doesn't show me what the actual live stream is producing. Oh, yeah, David. Maine is where I think of for seafood. Yes. I do appreciate the advice, Mr. Mountain Man. Chris, being serious, yeah, baby steps on that. If you're serious, like you're really wanting to work out, and then, someday maybe, it might be goofy, you and I getting together doing some workout. It'd be probably more fun than, seriousness. But yeah, if that's something you're into, like, I don't know, exactly, but if you can walk around the block or down the street or on a treadmill. Treadmills, by the way, I don't know about right now. When this whole thing subsides, you can get a decent treadmill for like $300 or $400. You don't have to buy one of those high-end ones. I mean, the one we have was probably $300 or $400 and it's lasted 10 or 15 years, never had a problem with it. So, just getting in the house, because sometimes, we live in the mountains, you have storms or rainy, and then those things prevent us from being able to work out. And not everybody likes treadmill. The one thing nice about treadmill is you can put like YouTube on. It's gotten a lot better. I remember 10 years ago, I would try to put the TV on the background, had these headphones that had like this, you tune into like an AM station so you could get the sound like across the room. Like, it wasn't Bluetooth or anything. It was all clunky. So yeah, it's a lot nicer. You put your favorite video or movie or just sit there and watch. Hey, if you want the best seafood, you got to come to Newfoundland. You know what, Lily, you are going to take the cake there. There is no way we could beat that cool water. What's up there? What do we got there? I don't even know if you can actually eat. Well, yeah, you can eat crab, lobster, fish, shrimp. That might be is that squid? If it's squid or octopus, both you can eat. I've actually had octopus. It's called pulpo in Spanish, Pulpo, pulpo, in like a Spanish salad, like a cold Spanish salad, from my father-in-law, and it's tremendous. It tastes really good. I'm not an exotic eater, by the way. Like I'm not on the spectrum. I'm not like, I got to have chicken nuggets and macaroni and cheese all the time, but I'm also not going to go out and start eating weird stuff. If you guys watch my Philippines video, I probably get a D- for being adventurous when I was there. Because there was all these neat things I could have tried, and I was really kind of conservative. I wasn't eating cheeseburgers, but I wasn't exactly trying a lot of local cuisine. So, but yeah, when it comes to seafood, if it's at like a nicer restaurant or done well, trying something a little bit new is kind of neat. I love seafood, but I suffer from gout. It runs in the family. I'd be eating it more. Yeah. Sorry to hear that, Sexy Matt. I know that's not fun when you have something you enjoy to eat and you can't. Let's see. Marvin says, best clams I ever had were from a little hole-in-the-wall restaurant in Boston. They were so fresh. That's awesome. I've never been to Boston, but down the road, I've been to Baltimore, and crab cakes is what they were known. I remember as a kid went to Baltimore and Bar Harbor, and boy, the crab cakes were good. I don't think I've had crab cakes as good. Crab cakes are something that can really get messed up, especially if they're on a buffet. If they're on a buffet and it's not a really nice buffet like the one I talked about, Grove Park, like if you're at Golden Corral or Ryan's or something, the crab cake's going to taste like 90% bread and 10% little tiny piece of crab that you can barely taste. So yeah, crab cake is one of those that it can be butchered and not be really good. Lily said, Matt, fresh from the ocean every day. Can't get better than that. That is true. That is true, up from where you are. Oh, when I lived in Florida, Captain's Table, Deerfield Beach was awesome. Yeah, so I wasn't down in Deerfield, but, in Central Florida, kind of off the I-4 corridor is where we were, having, back and forth around there. I'm trying to remember any good places that were seafood down there, which was weird because Myrtle is loaded with seafood places. But when I was on the coast in Central Florida, there wasn't any. There were a couple. There were a couple of places that were decent, but and you could get some, and you could get some seafood, but it wasn't like, it was kind of an eclectic mix of places. Every time we wanted to eat somewhere nice, we always tried to go over to Disney World and try out one of the restaurants. Probably the best in the USA would be Boston. Yeah. Rita says I'm clear. I appreciate that. Thanks for the feedback. I hope it stays clear. I have not lost you tonight, but I've had other issues on live streams for the past week or other live streams. I remember back in the day, maybe not that long ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, when Skype, Sunday night, we used to Skype with like my grandma or grandparents or something like that. And Skype early in its early days, I think the servers would get overloaded really bad because everybody on Sunday would call their family or Skype with their family. And but YouTube's amazing, and all these cloud providers that have massive warehouses of servers and bandwidth and capability. I'm just in astonishment by Google and what they're able to do. I mean, I've watched some people from Disney World. I don't watch the whole thing, but they'll do like an 8-hour live stream, one channel. So you put all these YouTubers together, the amount of space, and we don't pay for our accounts. Yes, there's advertising and I get all that, but I would still, it's just crazy. I remember, I don't know, I guess I'm getting on my years here, but I remember back in college, like buying like a 40 gigabyte hard drive was like $250 or something like that. I mean, we've gone from that to just like, hey, stream for hours on end for you don't know a penny. There's advertisers that are footing the bill ultimately for that, but still, I'm amazed. Chris, you probably like a spin bike. Yep, easier on the knees, plus biking in general is better than running, in my opinion. Yeah, some people don't like running and walking. The nice thing about a treadmill, and if you have a good pair of sneakers, is it will absorb the shock. So treadmills will bounce a little bit. So if you have a good pair of sneakers and a treadmill, it's better on the joints than walking or running on the sidewalk. But yes, a stationary bike. Like when I go to the gym, my warm up for leg day will be 5 minutes on the treadmill and 5 minutes on the bicycle. And then I'll go into my routine to get the blood flowing into the legs. So yeah, that's really good. Oh, Chris said we've got a bike here, but at the moment I'm too fat for it. Well, no, yeah, I'm sure you can get on it. You just have to adjust it a little bit. Chris, don't say fat, man. You're just you're thick or full or muscular. We can wordsmith it, man. You're big dude. You don't have to say fat. Pickled cactus is really good in salad. I've never had that. That is interesting. Is that like an out west thing? Or is that, enlighten me. I'm telling you, I learn something every day. Whoops, I skipped one. Fish heads are Filipino delectable. Yeah, they did. And that's where, Saxy Matt, and I know they had like some weird like animal eggs. I mean, it's weird stuff. I didn't want to get into that. All right. You know what? I was already there for work and a little bit stressed out. I didn't want to be getting GI problems at the same time. My favorite is the cod cheek and tongue, as well as roe. Known locally as britches, fish eggs, but cooked properly, it's delish. Well, there you go. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Like a lot of that I haven't eaten, but one time I did have caviar. It was on a buffet. And it wasn't probably like the real expensive stuff. I just tried it. I wasn't impressed. I wasn't grossed out by it. It just didn't do anything for me. I wouldn't have left Florida unless it was work related. You talking about in reference to me, Matt? Are you talking about in reference to me, or you were in Florida? Oh, you were in Florida too. I did Florida for over 10 years. It wasn't my cup of tea in the long run. When I was growing up, I always loved the mountains. Like when we lived in Ohio and would go see my grandparents in South Carolina, we'd have to go down I-77 through West Virginia, and North Carolina, and go through the Blue Ridge Mountains. And I just loved it. I loved it when we got into the mountains, and I was kind of not sad, but I was, when we were out of the mountains and back to flat, it was like, oh, that kind of stinks. Always loved the mountains. And when we lived in Florida and traveled to the mountains, I find it so peaceful, dynamic, and beautiful. I live near the beach. The beach is cool. Believe it or not, we didn't go that much. It's a lot of work with the kids and stuff. I really wasn't a beach bum. It was still magnificent. As the crow flied, we were only 3 or 4 miles from the coast, so we could have gone any day of the week. It's, there's a lot. If Florida's a mixed bag. Like when we moved here to the mountains, we made a list of what we liked about Florida and what we didn't. And on the didn't side, it was like crime, bad schools. It's hot all the time. Hurricanes, traffic, overpriced housing. There was a bunch of stuff. It just was. The heat thing, for one, was getting obnoxious. It was a real novelty being a Midwesterner when I first moved there. I was like, oh, it's January in '85. This is awesome. But after 10 years living there, when you get out of the car and you're sweating in January and cutting palm fronds in the yard and you only get a month and a half break from mowing the grass. For me, no season change or very little. You did get some in Central Florida. It just wasn't that nice for me. The people who really enjoyed Florida, that maybe some of the retirees and stuff, they would shuttle themselves from air conditioned to air conditioned place, air conditioned car, air conditioned store, air conditioned, shopping, whatever. And then if they, condo or house, somebody did their landscaping, somebody did their work, they literally were just, the only time they had to get hot was if they went to the beach. And that's not the lifestyle I had. I had to, my house was busted or something on the outside. I had to paint it. I had to fix it. I had to mow. I had to work on the car. I had to wash the cars. I had to pressure wash the driveway, plant landscaping at the house, do all that kind of stuff. Go for walks and exercise, and just hot all the time. The thing we loved about Florida was Disney World. I have always been a big Disney fanatic. We had annual passes, but they're much more reasonable for families, or excuse me, Florida residents and family, but Florida resident. No different than probably people spend on what their budget is to go to Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge for like a long weekend or week. We would take that money instead and buy those annual passes. And Disney World's different than like Dollywood and those, because Disney World allows you to bring food in. So when we would bring the family, we would pack sandwiches and pack drinks and bring all the stuff into the parks. And only thing we would pay for that day after the sunk cost of the passes was gas, because we would go down and come back in the same day. We didn't have to buy souvenirs every time because we were there all the time. We brought our own food. We'd bring 2 meals, snacks, and everything like that. We really had a blast. We loved Disney World, but we could not stay in Florida for Disney World alone. It was not enough of a pull. Education and where we wanted our future to be. I went to college in North Carolina, so coming back here was I didn't grow up here, but coming back here was, not foreign to me. This was not my first foray. I had already lived in the Charlotte area for 8 or 9 years. And so, so that's my deal on Florida. Let's see here. Going in after the movie Jaws came out, I was in San Diego and had a shark steak. Oh yeah, and I've had swordfish before. That's absolutely delicious. I have not had a shark steak though. That's pretty cool. Hey, Sandy Melvin, I finally caught you on here. I haven't seen you in a while. Glad you're in the live stream. Hope you're having a great start to your week. I had heart before and beef tendon soup. Oh, there we go. And I'm not sure, I forgot what the husky comment was referring to. I had pickled cactus when I lived in Chicago. Chris, running shoes can be used for walking. Look into Brooks. Good stuff. Hey, great suggestion there, Ronald. I would move to the mountains. Evening, everyone. Yeah, I have no disappointment. This is it. This is forever where we're going to be. Love the mountains. I'll tell you, I sound pretty cynical about Florida. One of the podcasts, YouTube channels I follow is called The Diz. They have one about people moving to Florida. And I feel badly because a lot of people see Florida and they get, they see pink flamingos and palm trees and they don't look deep enough into what they're moving to. If you know where you're going in Florida and you've researched it well, it can be a great place to live. Even with the hurricanes and all that stuff, you can move on the interior and you can make good decisions. But I found it also exceptionally bad, especially in like Orlando. You could be in a gorgeous neighborhood, like even a gated community, just beautiful area. And then you go right outside the neighborhood and you're in a crime-ridden, really rough area that would bleed into the neighborhood with crime and stuff. And you might say that's everywhere, but it's not necessarily. Sometimes there's insulation between that. If education and kids is not a factor, that's definitely helps. If somebody really, really likes the heat, like I have met some people that have been on the other end of the spectrum. They live in New York or New Jersey or Minneapolis or something. And they said, you know what? I've done the -10 for 50 years and I'm done with it. Give me 90 and humidity for forever. So I get it. Those people too. But then those people become what's called a halfback. That's an actual moving term. Halfback is somebody who goes from New York to Florida. They find out Florida is a bit much and they move halfway back. And guess where they end up? North Carolina. So we get a lot of halfbacks here. And so they've moved from the far north to the south. And then when they find out it's not all it's cracked up to be, they move halfway up. So what I was talking about, that other channel that I watch, they have a reoccurring series about moving to Florida. And sometimes I'll drop a comment and, and say, just do your research and make sure because a lot of people are like, oh, Disney World, I'm moving to Florida, I'm bringing the whole family. And it's like, just do your, and of course the research thing matters no matter where, even the mountains. We spent a whole year with deep research, very, because we got burned when we moved to Florida because it was for a job and I had to make some quick decisions, and ultimately it did not pan out well. We lost a lot of money because of the recession in 08, and the housing values went down and a lot of things didn't go our way. And so we did a lot better research when we came here. But that's more paramount even in Florida, because I think a lot of people are like, oh, the beach and flamingos, but you got to really love what you're getting into and understand Florida well. But again, you could really take the state of Florida out of there and insert any name of any state or any city, and it's still applicable. You can't move anywhere without doing your research. But I feel badly for people who do, and then after a few years when the honeymoon period wears off, they find out they didn't really like where they were. So yeah, Lynn, good to have you here. And yes, the mountains are beautiful. I love the mountains. Sexy Matt says, I was referring to you in Florida. I've been to Florida, but North Central. I'd never go south of Tampa. Yeah, I mean, South Florida is like the Caribbean, basically. So when you're talking about Miami and Fort Myers, and I much prefer Fort Myers is actually a beautiful area. Like if I was going to pick places in Florida that people would tell people to target, it'd be like, and school wasn't a factor, and they, had good housing and could deal with the hurricanes, and, more recent build, Fort Myers, Destin, see, I'm stretching here. Maybe Ocala, or maybe, no, Gainesville, maybe, because that's the interior. I mean, not a lot. It's not my cup of tea. I'm really 10 times happier the family is up here. But again, I do miss Disney World, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to pick and choose, and we're not going to stay down there for the theme parks. And you know what? It's not bad because we're going to have other opportunities here. We just got our Ripley's passes for over there on the other side of the mountains. There's Dollywood. There's Carowinds. Carowinds is funny because I mentioned, I've mentioned in a previous live stream, I used to live a mile and a half from Carowinds. So many, many moons ago, when my wife and I, before we had kids, we had Carowinds season passes. And I used to go to Carowinds all the time. I went to Carowinds a lot back in the early 2000s. I could even go there on my lunch break from work. And they had Top Gun, the roller coaster there. And Top Gun, speak of the devil, used to go with a couple coworkers because Carowinds season passes, you could get them at Blockbuster for like $80 for the year. So they were super reasonable. So we would go from work, ride a roller coaster, and go back to work. That's crazy. Lots to talk about, North Carolina and all that. I wanted to mention another thing. There's a lot of focus on Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, but really, me being kind of the voice of, Western North Carolina, I will tell you, for those of you that enjoy traveling to the mountains, either are near to the area or enjoy vacationing, you really do have the best of both worlds in that Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg not include, Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg has everything. The crowds and the go-karts and the shows, and it's, it's loud and it's happening and there's all kinds of stuff going on. It's really exciting, but that's not for everyone all the time. Some people want a little bit of a break from that. So the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is nice. But Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the only downside to it is it gets really busy. In fact, last I checked, I think it's still the #1 visited national park in the United States. I think second is Yosemite. If you go into Great Smoky Mountains National Park on a Saturday in the summer, Cades Cove will be jam-packed with traffic because there'll be one deer, not even a bear. All the parking along the roads to go to any hike, you can't find a parking spot. Klingman's Dome will be packed. Everywhere is packed. You can't get into anything. So one of the beautiful things about Western North Carolina is it's a lot less busy and more spread out. You've got the Blue Ridge Parkway, and you've got, you've got, Waynesville and up to, geez, I'm drawing a blank, like Burnsville, going up north, and Mount Mitchell and Grandfather Mountain, and Boone and Blowing Rock, and down south to Hendersonville and Asheville and Cherokee. All these beautiful outdoor places, greatly spread out, lots and lots of hiking and waterfalls. And even Asheville has some of the, if you want to find putt-putter, go-karts, or a cultural show, or downtown Asheville and culinary and nice places to eat. So yeah, you're not going to be going to NASCAR Speed Park and, all the zing and zang and, the dinner shows and all that kind of stuff. But there is a lot of neat stuff here in Western North Carolina where you're not going to get in traffic jams, and you're going to be able to breathe the fresh air and not have to deal with all that. You're also going to get more reasonable rates on hotels and cabins. So I'm not taking away from East Tennessee, because I love it. The family loves it. We have vacation there many times in cabins, hotels. We have season passes for over there, but it can be a bit much at time. There's something to be said about coming over to this side of the mountains and enjoying some of real nature, a little more calm, little, quieter, but yet get all of that. There are books, this thick on all the waterfalls and hiking and the natural, like Sliding Rock and Pisgah National Forest, and just all these wonderful places to go. Riding motorcycle, going for a car ride, walking, hiking, dining, shopping. There's a whole bunch of stuff, history and culture in the Biltmore. There's quite a bit to do. I think Western North Carolina doesn't get the visibility that it should, because of what happens over in East Tennessee, drawing so many tourists. So if you like all that stuff and you're trying to weave your way and thread your way through Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge to go on a hike, or to have some serene nature in the mountains, or, go out to a nice meal, and you're not doing the lumberjack and, the Stampede and the, Hatfield and McCoys or Titanic, and that's not what you're doing anyway. You might consider for your next vacation coming over to this side of the state. You're going to get a lot more bang for your buck, and just plan out your vacation. So I know I've missed some comments here. Let me try to go through there. Sexy Matt said for vacation to Florida. Yes, Florida is a very transient state. It is, because you didn't have a lot of natives there. You get a lot of people from New York and New Jersey going down there, a lot, straight down I-95. You get a lot of people that see, like I say, pink flamingos and palm trees, and then they find out it's not what they want and they move. But I did have a few colleagues and friends that were native Floridians, but they are few and far between. Sandy said, thank you for taking our mind off things. I'm trying to avoid the news. I have to have a mental day. Sandy, spot on. I watch the news and my happiness goes down like 8 notches. So it is so intense and it can be depressing. And I get it. We all need to be informed. But I said, I don't know if Jason's still here or not. I mentioned him. I was chatting with him today. I have to keep my head in the sand, literally, like purposely at times. I have to take that in dosages, because it can be a bit much. The roads alone and toll roads and interstate keeps me away. And I was there all the time for years. I hate Florida, don't like Florida. Yeah. I could talk about Florida for a long time. I know a lot about it. And if anybody's ever interested in moving to Florida and wants to chat about it on here, bring up a topic. I don't want to sound like I'm poo-pooing the whole thing, because to each his own. Everybody has their own opinion. Because I disliked Florida doesn't mean that somebody else won't enjoy it. The guy who does the pest control for our house says he's had it with, the cold winters in North Carolina and wants to move to Florida. And we always joke about it, but I get it, because even though he lives in a beautiful area, and that's my opinion, the monotony of it. And, there is some validity to, the moisture and the warmer weather. If you start to get bad joints and, getting a little bit older, that Florida can be conducive to that, and a little more comfortable feeling than walking out your door and it's -5 degrees outside. I do like North Carolina, though, even the mountains, because it's temperate. We do not get harsh winters. The coldest I think it got here this year was 14 degrees one night, maybe 2. Didn't get any below 0. A little bit of snow, nothing crazy. maybe a little bit of ice. It's a nice balance of getting the 4 seasons. This is why I like East Tennessee. You get 3 seasons, nice area, and generally nice people like Chris and culture. Chris is awesome. He's a great representative. He's going to be hired by the Chamber of Commerce there in Knoxville because he's definitely a showman for it. Let's see. We get a lot of halfbacks in Kentucky too. The cost of living and enjoy 4 seasons. Yeah, Karen. So Kentucky, really, Karen's right. Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, even though technically that's not halfway back in Virginia. Those states in the Southeast are all prime areas for people that went, to Texas, Arizona, Florida, and then shroom, come halfway back. That is true. I like Kentucky too, but I'm done with snow, and I know Tennessee can get snow, but it's gone that day. And North Carolina can be like that too. Actually, you're correct. It is awesome and has me. How perfect. Yeah, I'm assuming you're talking about, Tennessee. Chris is a native, I believe. Chris has mentioned. So talking about natives, Chris is a native of Tennessee. I'll let him confirm that. But he said that himself in his own live streams. I used to love spending part of my summers in Boone, North Carolina. Boone is a beautiful area. That's kind of the entrance into Western North Carolina. That's a great area also as well. Boone has Appalachian State University too. The elevation is really pretty high up there, and they get cooler than even parts here in Asheville. I want to go to Boone. I want to go to Boone soon. I love idea of friendly winters in East Tennessee in the area. Yes. East Tennessee, Western North Carolina, these are just great places for a nice balance, like I mentioned, when it comes to weather. Mr. Mountain Man, what taxes like by you? What taxes like by you? I'm sorry, Miss Saxy Matt. I'm not saying that correctly. What taxes like by you? Florida didn't have state taxes, if that's what you mean. That was nice. There are states that don't have state tax. I don't know if that's what you meant, but if anybody was interested, that is one nice thing about Florida. You didn't have state tax taken out of your paycheck. So you might say, does that play into maybe the problem with education? And you'd be right. What they account for is because it is the mecca of tourism in Central Florida and all the beaches, they make enough money on taxes through, just the people visiting and such that it helps, which they're probably taking a real hit to their economy right now because of what's happening. But yeah, there's no taxes. Matt, it's rare that Kentucky gets more than a few inches of snow. We usually have a few weeks of very cold temps, which helps with mosquitoes, but this year was less snow than East Tennessee. East Tennessee was very unusual this year that they got a lot more than we did, and we are actually at a higher elevation than Gatlinburg. Not up at like Klingman's Dome or Mount LeComte, but, it goes up and down, but like Asheville is at like 2,200 feet. Gatlinburg is at like 1,000, and Pigeon Forge is like 100 less than that, I think around 900. So that it can actually get quite warm in Gatlinburg. And then if you go into the national park and get up in elevation, you can cool down 10 or 15 degrees. The last cabin we stayed in was up near Ober-Gatlinburg, and we would lose 10 degrees going up Ski Mountain Road from Gatlinburg to our cabin. I loved it. That was one of the things that made me love the mountains. I was so easy to be impressed watching the temperature gauge go down as we went up in elevation. I loved it. Do they tax Social Security and income? If you mean North Carolina, yes, we have state taxes, but not Florida. You should have a second home here, Lily. Yeah, then you could go from Newfoundland to stateside. Let's see here. I really should, Chris. My heart is there already. Although you do live in a beautiful area too. Check out Lily's YouTube channel if you want to see a different area of the world. It is really cool. I love Tennessee and North Carolina. It's like being home in Kentucky, but warmer. I don't know if any of you guys have satellite TV. A lot of people have cord cut, but if you do, check out a show called Log Cabin Living. And there's another one called Mountain Living. But Log Cabin Living, they do a lot of shows. The premise is a half-hour show, kind of like House Hunters, where they'll go to 3 log cabins in different states, and then somebody will buy one. But they are in Kentucky and North Carolina a lot. They're also up in like Vermont, New Hampshire, and a lot of those places. That is a part of the country, by the way, that I would love to visit is Vermont, New Hampshire, up that way. I'm definitely going to get up that way someday. I'm going with my parents when they move, and I know Knoxville has a great hospital. Oh, that's cool. Chris, definitely, you should jump on one of his lives. I know you have, but if you ask about it. I'm glad I only have a 4-hour drive to Pigeon Forge. Yeah, and Karen, I'm about 2 hours away from here. Karen, you're blessed. Yes. Yeah. Saxy Matt, because you said, I think Illinois are only 11 hours away. So you've got a long full day or a 2-day with a hotel in the middle. As close as I am, I still don't go often enough. Karen, based on my conversation earlier, there's so much focus in, Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, but your own neck of the woods, I'm sure, is beautiful as well. Just like I was talking about North Carolina. Sometimes the peaceful nature of being a little more spread out and some of that. And I know Kentucky has a lot to offer too. The mountains aren't as big if you want pure mountains, and you're right. You probably got to go to Tennessee, North Carolina. But there's a lot to do as well, I know in Kentucky. Chris asked about what hospital. Knoxville's nice. I've always liked Knoxville. Tennessee is tax-friendly for retarees, but I'll tell you what. Every time I go shopping in Gatlinburg, it is not tax-friendly, or Pigeon Forge. That 10% tax, it's not terrible, but you go out and you buy something for $20 and $2 tax, or $100 if you're buying a whole bunch of stuff for the family, $10. Yeah, it can get, but that's how they're squeezing it out. But boy, 10%, that's a little bit rough. Chris said, I was born in Knoxville and raised here too. He is a native. The hospital that's part of the university there, I saw good reviews for the cardiovascular program. Oh, cool. Boy, do we have taxes here in Illinois. Yeah, certain states, but if it translates to, decent roads and schools and all that, I don't want to get political, but, good. That's when it's good. But boy, if you're paying taxes and the schools still stink, that's not fun. Ronald, one reason why my dad likes it, and he had a friend move to Lenoir City, Tennessee. Oh, okay. Sexy Matt said that's where he was born, at that university. That was a special day when Chris was born. Sexy Matt, yes, Marvin, we are saying bye-bye, Illinois. All right, so Saxy, you are moving to, you don't have to sit, but you're scoping out to Knoxville. That's really cool. I'm close and thinking seriously about it. We are getting retirees from Florida to South Georgia, especially military retirees. Yes, Foxy Wolf. Georgia, one of the nice things, and I'm no expert in Georgia, but Georgia is another area that, it's the deep South, and it can get boiling hot in the summer, but it's a little bit more like South Carolina in that it's got some decent property, cost of living, and ability to get, some decent places with that warmer weather, but not necessarily be all the way full blown there in Florida. Georgia is another one. Georgia, South Carolina, the Charleston area, Myrtle Beach, and even on the interior, South Carolina, a lot of people don't think about it, but there's mountains there too when you get up into Spartanburg and Greenville area. And then North Georgia, and Helen and places like that, they also have mountains. I never think of Georgia about mountains, but believe it or not, as the crow flies from this part of North Carolina, if you could take a road straight, I looked at a map once, you're only like 60 or 70 miles from North Georgia, from where we are in North Carolina. It's not as far as you'd think. Lynn says the taxes on hotels in Gatlinburg is ridiculous. Yes, it is. I know we've stayed a few times at hotels, and that line item is it's a bit. That's how they're paying for stuff and keeping that town moving, or that county, I should say. Oh, actually, somebody, maybe Chris could speak to that. Chris, is that a county thing? That 10% there in Sevier County, right? Is where Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, is that 10% only there? Like up in Knox County, do they have that too? Is that a state thing or a county thing? I'm thinking about saying bye-bye to Illinois too. Yeah, I can't speak for Illinois. I've been to Chicago, and it's got everything, but and Karen, there we go. I do love visiting Chicago, Matt, lots to do there, but I would not want to visit there in the winter. Yeah. It's probably one of those, actually one of our neighbors has moved here from Chicago. It's one of those things, like I have a lot of family still in Ohio and friends. You build up like family and friends and cousins and parents, and if you have kids, and it's that network you build up is really difficult to detach from. Like I left when I left Ohio to go to school when I was 18 down in North Carolina by myself. So I've always kind of been away from family, always. So we don't know any differently. We never had that support system. But a lot of people, that's one of the reasons you might say, why would you live in such and such place? It doesn't seem very exciting. But if your aunts and uncles and neighbors and friends and, you know, all the people you grew up with and everything is right there, that's a hard network to move from. So it's more than just, oh, they have a beach or cool mountains. Like I knew a lot of people, I knew some stories about Florida where like the retiree parents would move there. And then the kids, when I say kids, I mean like 30 or 40 years old, would move to where their parents lived and bring their kids to, and then find out this is not what they wanted. They didn't like the schools. They didn't like Florida. They wish they weren't there anymore, but they moved there because mom and dad did, and they wanted to stay together as a family. So I can't emphasize enough for all the people that are ever wanting to move anywhere to do your research. So if you're older and you don't have kids, I'll tell you why schools still matter, because good schools indicate good property values and resale values. So even if you're not going to sell, you know, better schools is going to be typically indicating less crime. So even if you're not, you know, have kids of child age in school, it's still a good indicator. You wouldn't believe what you can find online now. Crime maps, you can find property values, you can see price per square foot. You can go on city data on the forums and say, hey, what's this community like? And then you can get the real inside scoop from people who are like, oh, I've been here 8 years, it's tremendous. Or, you know what, we're trying to move out of here and everything's overpriced. You can get that heads up ahead of time. So, you know, you can really throttle the whole, okay, I love the mountains. Anything that's a house, I'm just going to buy it. Nope. I'm going to be really methodical about this. You know, I'm going to do my due diligence and I'm going to find what's right. I'm going to make a good investment, make sure I make a really good decision. Or maybe it's not the mountains. Like I said, it could be the beach, or it could be anywhere. It could be Des Moines, Iowa, because you're moving there for a job or because family, and you just want to find the right neighborhood, area, suburb, borough, whatever, county. And so, you know, it seems like that's obvious, right? Like research. There's a lot of people that'll go on vacation and buy an acre of land, you know, on a whim because they're, you know, excited about vacation. And then all of a sudden they're stuck with it. And then they're paying taxes on it or HOA fees or something else and never want to build on it. That's not what I recommend doing. You know, you get caught in the fever of vacation and then make a poor purchase and then get stuck with something you don't want. I have a buddy who retired in Newark, Ohio, and he calls Illinois that. Yeah, Newark, Ohio, and Sexy Matt, that's not far from where I grew up. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio. When I lived in Chicago, I used to think it would be great to have a winter job in Florida and a summer job in Chicago. Yeah, so Marvin, those are called snowbirds. So there were a lot of people that would move to Ohio or Pennsylvania or Minnesota or New York for April to October. And then like October to April, they would come down to Florida. So those were snowbirds. And we had a snowbird that lived across from us in our old neighborhood that was from Canada. And it was more like a vacation house. They didn't come down the full time, but they would come down, you know, only, you know, when it was warm. Never happened though. Oh, we got somebody here. Gene, welcome to the live stream. I first comment tonight, would like to drive south, part of the Blue Ridge Parkway. Gene, let me tell you, the Blue Ridge Parkway is super beautiful. I have one video. I plan on doing more. If you look back through mine, I did one on the motorcycle. It's a tranquil type video because I didn't comment or annotate atop of the video. So it's more like I like to put that video on the background. I put some like softer music to it. You can kind of hear the hum of the engine, but it's a beautiful look at the Blue Ridge Mountains in the fall. I enjoyed the video and I plan on doing more. So if you like the Blue Ridge Parkway, check out that video. And also, yes, driving down the Blue Ridge Parkway is there's no tolls. It's free. You can take pictures. It's a great thing to do on vacation for a reasonable amount for cheap. I've had to spend a lot of time in Charlotte. It's a nice area. Yeah. The only thing I didn't like about Charlotte, and I love Charlotte. I have a real, sweet spot in my heart and my passion for Charlotte. I'll tell you what Charlotte's great for. Good cost of living, lots of jobs. It's a young and upcoming city, lots of restaurants, lots of shopping. It's newer. It's not a Rust Belt city like Pittsburgh or Columbus or Cincinnati or Cleveland, or, it's newer, it's shinier, it's nicer. But the traffic stinks because it's not an older city. So it kind of grew real fast. And so it literally looks like city planners took spaghetti and dropped it on a plate. So, these cities that I mentioned that are Rust Belt, well, at least they were planned well. 1st Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 4th Street, 1st Avenue, 2nd Avenue, 3rd Avenue, like a grid like this. Well, Charlotte is like, it's like spaghetti going all over the place. The traffic is really bad. They finally got the outer belt done, and that did help with it. But Charlotte is a place that I do think is a great place, especially for young people getting started. It's reasonably cost of living, like I said, and there's a lot of jobs. I can't speak to every type of job, but because it was an up-and-coming city, there were a lot of opportunity. Chris said same tax up here as in Sevierville County. Okay, so that means you're getting hit with that 10%. And thank you for answering that question, Chris. I live in Georgia in Cherokee County, and we have a lot of mountains. Yeah, so again, I only got enlightened by the mountains that existed when I started watching that Log Cabin Living in North Georgia. A lot of people that lived in Atlanta or Hampton, I think it's called, they would like to have vacation homes, and they would drive a few hours north to North Georgia and get a cabin in that area. Sexy Matt said, I thought property tax varies by county. It might, but maybe Knox has the same. Karen said, it's hard to leave a lifetime of family and friends to move several states away, I would imagine. I'm not sure I could do it. Karen, you're right. That's exactly it. It's a tough pull. So then one of the evaluations could be, does a person in that situation want to get a small vacation house? But not everybody can afford to do that. Myself included. I mean, that's not an option for everybody. So I'm just saying some people do that to kind of, figure. I heard a noise in the background, to figure out that situation, to get like a second home, because detaching and uprooting, all of a sudden, if you have kids or grandkids or neighbors, your best friend, that's hard to leave. So then that's where vacation's great. People save up money and they go for a vacation. You can do all sorts of level, from the real fancy week-long nice cabin, dining out and everything, to the modest. I looked around, I found a great deal on a hotel, a little bit outside the city. I looked for deals. I'm going to do some hiking. It's just, the mountains has so much to offer, and really that can be applied anywhere. You can do that at Disney. You can do that at Myrtle Beach. There's all sorts of levels of being able to economically plan a vacation. And we've done that a lot as a family. We've had to, I find times of the year that are cheaper, and planning how we're going to eat our meals and entertainment. Some vacations are different than others. When my wife and I had an anniversary one time, we really splurged over in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. And there's other times we've gone over there and we're, strategically planning every, dollar and cent that we spend. So yes, Karen, that's a great point. And that's what does happen. Sevier County should build light rail for the area with those taxes. Right, Ronald. That is so true. Public transportation, some kind of futuristic monorail or something. I'm telling you, it's like gridlock in there when there's normal traffic. Light rail in East Tennessee would be amazing. That is a great comment. I hate HOA because they can be raised whenever. Sexy Matt, I could go on and on about homeowners association too. They're a double-edged sword. On one end, they stink because they cost money. They can be stressful. The conversations can get political. I don't mean political like Democrat, Republican, but like issues in the neighborhood can get, very tense. But on the other end of that spectrum, the rules and regulations keeps it so you don't have a car up on blocks out in the front driveway and people leaving their garbage cans out and 6 pit bulls running around the neighborhood loose, scaring off the neighbors. There brings order to it. So it's this balance between some governance and organization and then, being overdone. I often get vacation fever and I want to go buy something at the beach or wherever I go. Yeah. Hey, buying a t-shirt or a towel or a shot glass or a souvenir is great. Going to the beach and not planning and buying a lot of land is probably a little, what do they call that? Buyer's remorse. So Chris has the right idea of buying something, maybe just not buying a house when they go on vacation. Condo in Florida wouldn't be bad. I have lots of friends who did. Yeah. That's especially speaking of HOAs and you're in a condo, somebody looks after it. You pay, management fees or something like that, and you've got a place to go to. The only problem is, unless, somebody's really well-to-do, I think like the ideal vacation home getaway scenario is within 4 hours so that people can go in a car trip on a Friday and come back on a Monday. Anything greater than 4 hours, in my opinion, it makes it more difficult. You either have to get on an airplane or plan much further out. So anybody within a 4 hour period or 4 hour trip is, I think, ideal for a vacation home. Charlotte is a fun place, Karen, and lots to offer. It has gotten so much bigger. I don't even recognize it exactly since last time over the years. I went there in the fall. We went to a football game as a family, and it changed quite a bit for the better. And it's still a beautiful city. Sexy Matt, a grid system I'll have to get used to in Tennessee with mountain roads. Yeah, now mountain roads, probably the same thing where it's like spaghetti on a map. Hi, Karen, Sexy Matt, Chris, and everyone. Hope you're great. Hey, Dale Bush, catching us at the tail end of the live stream. I will be finishing up in a few minutes. I don't know if Yankee in the South went live. I try not to step on their toes because I know they're doing a nightly live stream. But I've just get to talking to you all, and you guys put such great comments on here. I just really enjoy talking to you. And I hope you guys are having a fun time tonight. Chris said, that was me in your yard. Hope you don't mind. That's hilarious. Lily said, I really should call up the embassy and ask questions about what's involved moving from Canada to the U.S. Yeah. Well, you are our friendly neighbor to the north. So I'm sure if that's something you wanted to do, you could probably do that. I absolutely agree with you on the HOA. Pros and cons. Everything is a trade-off. Yeah. I mean, if and it's tough because one of the things is there's so much debate on, certain neighborhood issues. And like in the neighborhood I'm in now, there's an HOA and it just gets really tense. And I almost, speaking of like the news you have to disconnect from, sometimes I have to disconnect from like the neighborhood issues because they get so, people get so passionate and it just gets, stressful on, how money's going to be spent and stuff like that. So yeah, they're kind of what you call a necessary evil. So yeah, Rita says a cruise is a good vacation. Well, unfortunately not these days, but I do agree with you, Rita. I actually met my wife on a cruise. It wasn't like a singles cruise or anything. It just happened to be on there with our families. But cruises are fun. They do kind of scare me at times because when I was going on them, I'd be on a ship that had like 2,000 to 2,200 people, but now they have like 4,000 or 5,000 people on a cruise. It just seems like so many people in a condensed area. Like, just if anything bad happens, it just seems like it could be a nightmare. But those things, the redundancies built into them, they are so super safe. I agree with you. Cruises are a lot of fun. The ports of call, the food, the entertainment, they are really, really fun vacations. They are on now. No pressure. Yes. And if I'm not connecting, you the man. If I'm not connecting the dots on some of the questions, Lily, you can drop my name if you want. I'll vouch for you. Marvin said, time for me to go. Everyone have a great week. You do as well, Marvin. My experience with is all bad. HOA. Thank you, Todd. Yeah. I don't know what to say. It's an imperfect science. I know a lot of people that have gotten so sick and taste in their mouth of HOA. They say the next time I buy property or a house, it is not going to be with an HOA. My only recommendation for that is make sure you have land so that you can spread out so that if you have an annoying neighbor, they don't bug you. Or you can put up a fence or do whatever you want. If you move into a neighborhood with like quarter acre, half acre lots or smaller and they don't have an HOA, just be prepared because your neighbor can, they can burn trash, leave trash out, you know, have 5 Doberman pinchers, you know, there's no accountability. So, you know, that can be tough. Karen says, come on down, Lily. Yes. And we do. Yeah. I mean, you're probably going to go back and be like, hey, I'm going to move to the United States. And they'll be like, what happened? Like, oh, it was Mr. Mountain Man's live stream. Bye, Marvin. And Brian said, Mr. Mountain Man subscribers, stay safe and healthy. Yes, Ronald Golden. You stay safe and healthy too. Dale Bush, that's cool. You met your wife on a cruise. It was cool. Great stories. It was, it's a pretty neat story, just the timing and everything like that, just to think. Sexy Matt says a privacy fence. Yeah, if you have that. If you have land, you can put up a privacy fence and you don't have to worry about your neighbors. You all invited to my welcome party. That's right. Well, with that, Lily, that fun comment, I'm going to call it a night right at an hour and 30 minutes. I want to thank all of you. This was a really fun Mountain Man Monday. This is episode 24. I hope you guys had a good conversation tonight too. I really enjoyed it. And for those of you watching on delay later on the channel, I hope you enjoyed it as well. As always, I do archive the live streams. The last few are available in the videos tab. If not, the rest are remaining under the live stream playlist. I hope to be having some more exciting Mr. Mountain Man content here in the future. And as always, we can reconnect every Monday, or at least every Monday that I'm on for the live stream, and we can have a fun Mountain Man chat. Thank you to everybody that came here tonight. I really enjoyed all the conversation. I hope you guys stay safe and healthy, and we will talk to you next Monday on another Mountain Man live stream. Good night, everyone, and take care.